This web application is running without any security. Anyone can access the API, and attackers can steal sensitive data. Without authentication and authorization, data loss becomes unavoidable. Now, Keycloak adds authentication and role-based authorization. Every request is verified. Every action is authorized. Your data is now secure.
It's very easy to implement with just a few steps. Let's get started.
So before we start implementation, I'm especially recommend if you first time visit my channel. So this is my channel .NET Real World Example, and if you want to learn many other things like front end, back end as a full stack developer, AI integration and game development, mobile development, anything else if you want as a full stack developer, so you can learn many things over here. Now moving to start to implementation. So first let me create a new project from that scratch so that I can show you like how we can implement or integrate your Keycloak. So let me create a new project. So yeah, if you want to create a individual .NET API project or any API .NET project, so you can create, but yeah, I'll using the Aspire because it have many new features. So create that and Aspire with the Keycloak project. Next, and yeah, if you want to whatever your version you can check it, but yeah, I'll take it a default one whatever we have. Next, so once your application got ready, see this is a default template of .NET Aspire, and here my API project is .NET API is over here. This is my hosting project like app host project, and this is service, and this is web application. So we will integrate web application also, this Keycloak authentication, but that will do in next session. But first we have to understand first how we can authenticate in our API. So yeah, that we will do in a one by one so that we can easily digest. So first what I can do, go to this app host project, right, and then here I'll just simply add that package. So go to that package. So this is that, and also currently it is a preview sections, it is a preview. So yeah, you can just try out. So install that, so apply that, accept that. Okay, so once you're done, now see this is that package actually provide that Aspire hosting Keycloak. So we have to install this, and once you're done, now see there's a also providing the some documentations in this package itself, how we can integrate and all. So that we want to do that, so save it, right? And yeah, one more thing actually before starting any implementation, so yeah, just import this package, but yeah, nothing implemented. But yeah, what I can do, I want to run this application so that we can ensure our application is running. So let me run this application. Now your application got running, and you are able to see there is a two things over here, like one is the API service and one is the front end. Okay, so now this session actually we will implement authenticate in our API service. Later on we will implement the web application, so that will generate our token and all everything from that web application, that will pass it to in the API, so that authenticate and get the data. So that complete things we will do in later. But yeah, as of now, see if I just run this API, so also there is a default the weather forecast actually over here. So this is the 10 point. Now see I'm getting that response over here without anything, any pass authentication all, because currently does not implement anything. Okay, so yeah, I think that is pretty much good for this application, like as a default template. So let me try to implement that. So for that implementation I already import that package, right? And after that go to that app host project, and then here first actually we have to host it in our Keycloak environment, right? So for that actually we are as a mechanism the .NET Aspire provide. So we using that actually we can just host it. So simply I can use this this extension method, which is providing builder.add Keycloak. Okay, and pass your container name and your port. Okay, so once you pass that, it will just start or hosting in your local using in a Docker container or any Postman container, right? So up to you, like whatever you have that either you Docker or Podman, so both up to you, fine. So yeah, this is the way actually you can just simply hosted your local the Keycloak. And second thing actually, we can show you one more thing. So there is also, if you want to persistent right in your Keycloak host environment, so you can just use this Boolean, so that Boolean can persist your data, like it don't be actually restart or reset that all the data. So using that Boolean, so that whatever your data and all, it will keep in persistent in that container. Okay, so yeah, I'm using that bit Boolean over here, that's it. And yeah, one more thing, we will add actually that username and password. So also we have that provide ability to provide that feature, but yeah, let me just run this first. So once you run, and application trying to running over here, yeah, so now it's running. Now see, it is unhealthy. So if it is unhealthy, so if you go to that console log, so now it's trying to see, it's trying to create a container and all, everything is just try to set up. And meanwhile, if you just open your Docker or any or Podman, right, so you will see in this container that, see, that Keycloak container actually just trying to create it over here using that port, whatever port we have mentioned, right? So once you complete, if you see over here, so now they're trying to complete. So once they will complete, as of now we have not mentioned any username and password, so they are taking this default one and the random one. So if you go back to over here, now see, it is running, right? So once you running, let me just click it over here. So once you run, now it will trying to over here. So as of now, see, whatever username by default, actually it is provided username admin, so where you can get that. So if you go back to the dashboard and click on this section, so you will see there is a environment setup over here, like environment value. So if you just over here just key, so see, by default its name is admin, right, and password is this default password. Okay, so using that actually you can just log in that. So let me try to log in. So what is my username? Username is admin, password is this, which I just copy from there, and sign in. So once you sign in, now you are able to see this is that by default actually they are realm, the default realm is this master, but yeah, we'll just create new one which will integrate in our other, API and our application. And there's a couple of section actually, this Keycloak UI provided. And there's a manage section, client section, client scope, and realm roles, and users group and all, right? So everything we will use, then you can get that idea what that means and all. So yeah, the main part actually here, this client. So whatever client actually, if you want to use it, like even open ID connected, so here you can just create that client, and whatever is scope like audience and all, right? So whatever things actually is a scope, this particular client, so we have to create it over here. And then whatever that user, like see, by default is admin user, but if you want to create your own user, so you can just create it here as a user. So yeah, I think that's sufficient for this Keycloak intro. So let me just go back and to your application. So your application is got running, means your Keycloak setup is completed, right? So once you're done, now one more thing actually, see the default password, right? So that you can just change it using this way, like you can forcefully set your password. Okay, so how we can do that? This simple, like there's a parameter, provide this aspire. So let me just create this two add parameter, like one is that username, another one is password, and also set as a secret key, like it should be stored in the secret. And also you can just mention your value, like I just mentioned admin and admin. Okay, and not only this, actually if you want, you can just use that application, secret over here, like manage user secret. You can add your secrets over here in this project itself. Okay, so like this way actually you can just add it, and once you add it, now you can just mention your username and password in this hosting, the Keycloak hosting. So like this way you can just pass it your username. So now this time it will won't create always the random one, so it will maintain this one only. Okay, And yeah, this is the one. And now one more thing, actually the very important, this key lock, actually they providing that import feature, import and export feature. So as of now, uh, just by default it's just got created without any client and all, right? But what we want to create, or create that client, particular client which we have to use in our application, particular scope which we want to use our application, right? And that user and all. So user and all we can keep it, leave it as of now, but I'll just create this client and client scope using that import function. Okay, so how we can do that? For import function, you can just use another method which using that with the realm import extension. Okay, so let me just use that one. Yeah, so like this way, see, using this extension method and pass where you have that file. Okay, so I have to create a folder, they look like this root folder, using this realms, and you can just mention your file, that JSON file which can create your realm and along with their client and scope, right, without creating as a manually, right? So that we have to do that. So let me stop that. So I have already that file, and it is also available in the official website, right? So I'll just share it with you, you can take it over here. So let me just copy that complete file in my source. So let me just copy here and just paste it over here. Okay, so now see, this is that folder which is name on realms, and inside that we have that file which is just any name. It's does not matter what is the name. So import realm data. So if you just open it, now see, which have the data, actually what is that realm, right? The realm name is weather shop, like which we have to use it, and inside that weather shop there's a couple of roles here, the roles, right? And in this roles we have that client section also. See, this is that client. So we required as a postman client because we have to generate a key from that postman, so that we have to create it over here. And also we have that weather web, which is we use once we have implemented a weather, once we have to implement in our web application. But we have, actually currently we will use another one which is web API. Okay, so we have to use that web API. So if you go down, yeah, this is that one. So these two client actually we required, one is that postman, one is that weather API. Okay, and similar we have other things also. So you can just use as a default this one, right? So that you can easily understand, okay, how actually working. So once you understand that how actually flow working, then don't worry, in upcoming session we'll just create like manually how we can just create those client, those realm client and scope manually one by one. Okay, so yeah, just import this file over here, that's it. Okay, which have that all that realm and corresponding client scope and all, right? So once you're done, now save it. Now go back to your app host project and save it. That's it. Okay, so once it's done, now your configuration, key lock configuration has been completed. Okay, which have that password, username and password, and also import file. So what would be the next step? What next step would be, this key lock actually we have to integrate in our here. Okay, means our API application. Okay, so how we can do that? Simply, whatever that key clock, actually key clock we are storing as of here, so I can just use that with reference and wait for that. Okay, so that until just ready our our hosting, that key clock hosting, so it should not be start. Okay, so this is the dependency we have to set in our here. So once you're done, now we have to go to our API application. Okay, so now go to that your API application. Where is our API application? This is my API service, which is our API application. Go to that program.cs file, and here you can see we have the default weather API forecast, which does not have any required parameter. Okay, means that required authentication parameter, required any authentication. Okay, which is anonymous user can access that. So that we have to implement, right? So for that, what you can do, you have to implement, right? So for that implement perspective, so we need one package in our API service over here, so which is called, go to that package, and once you search this one, see, Aspire Keycloak Authentication. Okay, so just install that also here, install, apply, accept. So once you're done, now see it here also is a there is a documentation over here, so you can just refer the documentation over there. So I'll just use this one. So once you're done, now go back to your program.cs file. Here we have to configure that authentication. Okay, so before that, build your app service. Okay, so here we have to configure here so that we can ensure, okay, whatever audience and all, whatever token actually we are getting, so they are a valid token using our client and audience and all, right? So for that we have to use this builder.app service using this extension method, add authentication method. Okay, and in this add authentication method we have another extension method which we have to use this. Okay, so add Keycloak wearer token. Okay, in this add Keycloak wearer token we have to set what is the service name. So what is our service name? Our service name is Keycloak. Where is coming from? It is coming from whatever service you are just putting over here. So that service name you have to share it over here. Then what is the realm name? Okay, so what is my realm name? My realm is weather shop, right? Where it is, so which we already import as a file over here. I think I already opened it. Yeah, so see, there is my realm name. So this is realm name we have to refer over here. So what is the realm name? So we have to use that. And next, like configuration, like your audience and all, right? So for that configuration, so there is a property, is a configuration. So let me use this configuration. Okay, so this is a property also configuration, which I use the lambda expression, and in this lambda expression actually there is a property audience. So which audience you want to use it, like which client you want to use. So I want to use this better API client, right? Where is it? It is available in my here. Okay, in this realm, under this realm, actually I already shown you, but let me show it again. So if you go down, yeah, so this is that client name. Okay, so this client name we have to refer in your here, so that whatever API actually will create, whatever token will create using this client, it can validate. Okay, and then lastly, one more important part over here in this configuration. So you have to just set, okay, if it is development, so just required HTTP metadata is false, because see, if it is production, so you have to use the metadata HTTPS, but in local actually it does not work. So for working actually you have to install the certificate and all, but currently we don't have as of now. So you can just use this configuration so that it can avoid HTTP security. Okay, so just leave it that now, and that's it. Okay, so this is that configuration you have to do in your API side, so that whatever token will be generated, it can validate over here. Now another extension method, actually you have to do that. So add authentication builder. Okay, so now lastly you have to just use this authentication builder so that it can enable to add authentication, right? And once you're done, now you are good to go to protect your any endpoints. Okay, like for example this one. Okay, so this one I can simply just use required authentication, right? So let me just protect this required authentication. Now your API is protected over here, right? So save it, and once you save it, now I think we are pretty much good. So now, so let me run this application actually first. So let me run this. So once you run, now what will happen, now whatever actually your import file, they will just import and create all that realms and corresponding client. So you can able to see over here, see this key client, and if you go to that console log, so now they will start it over here, and you can see this log. See, they just try to import your data from here, like this is the our file, so they will just import it the data and they will add it over here, right? So just trying to add all the data whatever we have in this file, so just create it over there. So once you create it, we will now see it's got created. So once you create it, now go back to your application, and in here let me admin and change to admin and sign in. So once you sign in, now see I'm not able to admin. Okay, so I'm not able to logged in just because, let me check it, what is that current password is stored it over here. So if you see admin and admin, okay, so yeah, it is admin, but I am not able to logged in admin and sign in. Okay, so if this is the case, actually if you are not able to log in, so what you need to do, go back to your Docker, okay, and go to their volumes, and in here see that volume name does not using over here. Why? So let me check one thing. Go back to your app host project, and yeah, I'm using this Keycloak as a volume, but that is not currently using over there. So yeah, what you can do, simply just delete that. Might be it is just keeping that old one, so that's why it's not updated. So yeah, you are not able to do that because your container is running. So first you have to just stop your application. So let me stop, open a container, and just delete that now. Okay, now just delete it. So once you delete it, also you can see there is no container for that, and let me run it again. Because see, first time if you run or using this, this volume, so definitely it will store default one. Okay, so that's why it's not updated. So you can just remove that. So once you remove that, yeah, so now I can check again that username and password. Yeah, it looks good. Let me run this container properly. Okay, now my Keycloak is running properly, so open it and just check to admin and admin, sign in. Okay, now see I'm able to logged in, and once you logged in, now go to that manage realm. Now see that import file whatever I just mentioned realm, so this is my realm. And also once you click this one, so now see current realm it's just set to better shop instead of master. Okay, so now you can just check it over here. Yeah, current one is your one, and once you selected your one, so now corresponding realm you can see your clients. So click on the client. Now see this is just whatever client that file, it is available over here, like Postman and Better API, Better Web, and also our API client over here, so which we have to trying to use it. Okay, so if you go to inside this Better Web API, see nothing as a important over here, except yeah, nothing is important. Okay, and also we already create a scope which we are trying to use, which is this better all, right? So this is our scope which we trying to use in our in our uh, in our client. Okay, so don't worry, I'll just explain what does mean this client scope in real world. Okay, once we trying to generate a token using the Postman, so that time actually definitely you will get idea, or understand okay what does mean those things. So okay, I think this is good, it is running everything, it's fine. So now go to here your application, and yeah, actually you have to run your application here. So let me run it API application, and in here let me try to open the weather forecast, and you're able to see 401. That is expected because now it's required your token, right? That token actually required in here, and also you need to authenticate. So now in the come of the picture in your Postman, like, because as of now you just create your API, and you have to pass, you have to just access using the Postman or other any RESTful tools which can access your API. So for that, actually, to generate a token, so what I can do, I already just create as a client. Okay, so this is my client, right? Postman client. Actually we have to get, if you go to inside that, so see the name is just Postman, nothing. And if you scroll down over here, see, this is a redirect URL. Okay, so this is a redirect URL which is providing this Keycloak like OAuth, Postman and callback. So every time it will redirect to this Postman URL, right? And also this is that web origin is set to auth Postman IO, and nothing special. Okay, so this is for that Postman setting, so you have to do that. If you do that manually, okay, while you think, okay, I want to generate a token using that Postman, so this setting you have to do that for Postman client. Okay, and if you go to that client scope, and in here these are the scope actually, under here also we have to add that client scope is better colon all scope. Actually, how you can add that? Simply you can just click on that add, right? And if you go to, I think there is a no option over here, but yeah, you can just create go to that client scope, click this. Okay, so you have to just create that, not very. So you have to just configure, right? So for configuration, it just create a over here that is scope, right? So once you create a scope, like for example I just create this scope, so go to inside that and mapping. So once you mapping, now see, it's just mapping for better API audience, right? So if you just create a first time, so definitely you can do that by configuration, and you have to choose this audience. Okay, and so once you choose this audience, you can just select it, which scope you want to use it, right? So here this audience, so if you just expand this, so you are able to see all that scope is available over here, like which client actually you want to refer over this audience, right? So you just use this better API, right? So just using that better API client in this Postman scope, so that once you create any token using this Postman client, so it will consider another better client audience as well. Okay, so that's how actually working. So now moving to that Postman, how we can using this Postman client to create your token and access that area API. So open it Postman. Okay, and using any new request over here, right? And if you go to authorization section, you're able to see a couple of types over there. So you have to use auth02, right? And also by default is providing this request header. Okay, nothing special. And if you scroll down, there's a mechanism actually configuration option and advanced option. So you have to use the configuration option, and then here see, so this is optional, right? So you can just mention whatever name. So I just mentioned my token. And now grant type, so this is a very important part. So that grant type, actually you have to use this authorization code with PKEC. Okay, not without PKEC. Okay, so you have to use with the PKEC. And next things, you have to add this URL like auth URL. So where you can get this auth URL? So see, I'm getting this auth URL. I'm just mentioned this over here, but where you can get this auth URL and access token URL, this two information, right? So if you go back to your here, right? So in this section, in this your key clock in hosting environment, you can able to see realm settings. So go to that realm settings, and in this realm settings there's a open ID endpoint configuration over here. So once you click that, see, once you click, you are getting that get request. So once you get that request, you are able to get all that information. Actually here, actually I need to get this auth token and that access token, access URL. Okay, so you can just simply use this, go back to your any new request, and just simply hit that. Okay, so once you hit that, now see, this is your authorization endpoint, right? And this is your token endpoint. So this two URL you need it, right? Once you create it, so now you can just copy for auth URL, copy this one and go back to here to pass this URL from here, right? And similar, copy this token endpoint, copy this and go back to here, pass it to this access token URL over here. That's it. Okay, this two URL you have to pass it over here, and then your client ID. So what is your client ID? Your client ID is, go back to here, go to that client ID is this Postman, because we have to create token from this Postman client. So just copy this and go back to here, pass it to your client ID is a Postman. Okay, and there's one more important part. See, client secret. So you have to just leave it as a client secret as of over here. You don't need to do anything, and this is a default setting, so you can use it SHA-256. And this is that main important part, scope. So you have to set your scope over here, right? So which we have just create our scope, right? Whether, so what kind of scope for this endpoint, right? So we have to mention, okay, I have to access everything, read, write, everything, right? So that's why we mentioned whether all. And where is your scope? If you go back to your Keycloak, right? And in here, go to this, go to that key scope, and this is that scope, right? Which we just created over here, and the scope section. So go to that scope section. See, I just created the scope, and inside the scope I just mention our client over there, like whatever that client, audience client, right? So like this way, actually you have to just mention whatever is scope. So just use this scope over here, right? And that's it. Okay, and one more things actually over here. So yeah, you have to use this, send the basic auth header instead of client credential in body. So once you done this, okay, so let me just create a get token. So once you click the get token, now see, it will redirect to this page, right? Which is just asking to just pass that username and password. But currently I don't have any user and all. So if you go to that user section, now see, there's a no user. So one way, actually, ideally you can just create that user directly over here, like username and password. You can generate a username, password and their credential. And also there's a flexibility on here, you can just register as well. So as of now I don't have, so what I'll do, I'll just create a new one. So let me use that KKP. Password would be something test at the rate 123. Same things I can just use here, 123. Email, just use as of now default email. And name is Karthik and Kumar. Okay, and simply you can just register. So once you register, now see, authentication got completed. If you go back here in user section, now see, this new user got created also over here, and based on this creation, see, I'm getting the token. So this is token. Actually we have to just check it, actually what kind of things actually just created. So go copy this token and go to JWTIO. So go to this official website, and in here let me paste your token. So once you paste your token, now see, the header, actually they're using this whatever the type, right? And here, and this is just actually the payload section. In this payload section, this is important. So audience, so this audience should be created, like audience would be your weather API client, right? So if it is not available over here, that means you are not a valid token, right? Because this audience is required, which client actually you are refer, right? And then also see other things also, they using that access whatever role currently you can access over here. Origin is over here, this is a Postman, right? Whatever the client. And yeah, I think this is pretty much good. And also this information, like whatever username and password, not a password, like username and email address and all, actually you can see in your token. and also see this is your signature, whatever signature. So like this way actually your token is generated. So once you generate it, now we will try to access that API, it is working or not. So just use this token, and once you use this token, now I just set this token is over here, and once you send over here, okay, so yeah, basically see this is the problem actually. So this is not a right what do you say, not a right port number, right? So go back to your API, and yeah, so my API port is 5318. Okay, so let me copy this, go back to 53. So just change it to your port, because I just previously demos port was there. So let me just change it and just hit enter. So once you hit enter, now see you are able to get that data, right? So this is fine, right? So now you are able to get, and even if you can check, okay, if you pass that wrong token, so how actually it is working or not, right? So that you can just check it over here. So just change anything over here and just hit enter. Now see 401, that means it is required that valid token only, right? Without valid token it should not be now I undo that my changes, and then I'm getting that properly response, right? With authentication response. So that how actually you can just create your token using that Postman client, right? And that's how actually you can just configure and you can get that token. And yeah, for further actually we will integrate few more endpoints. Okay, so like for example, as I show the demo, like that complete product CRUD operation, so that we will implement, and also we will authorize over here, so that in upcoming session we can utilize that as a role based authentication, right? Because in the role, so only few API can access and few APIs does not, like that way. Okay, so for that what I can do, there is a two way actually. Ideally you can just directly integrate your API using that scaffolding, but I want to just create a directly over here. So for that, simply I just create a new class over here and just create a this endpoint, like product endpoint CS file, and in here I just make it the changes over here. So let me just change this to this. Okay, and don't worry, I'll just explain that what does mean it. Okay, and also let me just create this class like product as a model class over here. Let me create a product model class, and yeah, it is pretty much good. Copy that product informations. Okay, ID, name, price and all. Okay, that's cool. So now see, I'm just using this in memory data over here in this product endpoint, and it is just mapping. I'm just using this extension method. We'll use that extension because this is static. So map endpoint, and this is that main URI, route URI of that array, and this is that get endpoints, all that get endpoints, and this is get by the here, and also see we have that authorize record authorize section, right? And all that endpoint, like actually put endpoint, post endpoint and delete endpoint, right? So these are endpoint actually just prepare over here, and now we have to use this in our main class. Okay, program.cs class. So that extension we have to use over there. So like using this map endpoints. Before that, yeah, here I can use that map endpoints. That's it. Okay, so now all that endpoint is ready, and also actually I'll just add a swagger so that you can see all that endpoints as well. So that for swagger actually simply I can use a swagger package. So let me use that swagger package over here. Manage go to here, just add that Swagger package, just install that, apply that. Okay, now Swagger package is done. Now moving back to your program.cs file, in this section we can simply use our Swagger. That's it. Okay, so I think this is pretty much good for Swagger. Yeah, now run this application. Okay, now it's look like it's running, so let me run it. Okay, and yeah, if you access directly over here as a weather forecast, you are able to 040, but once you use as a Swagger, okay, my mistake, I just put that additionally dot. Yeah, so see, in the Swagger you are able to see all that endpoints is available, and if you're trying to get access, definitely you will get 401. That is expected. Okay, so now our endpoint is ready, and now we have to test using that here. And now actually this is one thing actually I want to show you. If you minimize everything, I have that practical example like how actually working. Okay, so let me open as a diagram which is providing the Keycloak, and now I will show you in real world actually how it's working, this complete diagram. Okay, so this is your API. Okay, and this is your Keycloak, and this is your backend, and this is your browser. Okay, browser means in your client side application, like might be your Postman, or might be your web application browser running in the web application. Okay, so this is way actually they're trying to authentication login, right? So how we can send the request? So send the request, see, open a Postman, right? And in this Postman, this is way, and once you get new access token, right? So once you send this request and using this complete over here, so it will redirect to go to that here. Okay, and it will go to send this, from the backend actually send to that Keycloak, and Keycloak login UX. Okay, they will provide the login UX redirect to back it over here. So as like for example, let me show you, like once I just clear out and click on that. So once you click on that, now see, it is sent to this, right? And they just uh, get that login UX and redirect to you to as a here. Okay, so as like here, right? So once you now see next what happen, now once you come here, now you just add your login and password. So once you add a login and password, now say again this request access the token, so it will send that request again to that Keycloak. Okay, and they will get back to, if it is valid, so it will get back to you as a access token. So how you are getting the access token? So let me show you. So let me add my username, so kkp, and that password what was test at the rate 123. So now see, once you validate over here, so now actually once you sign in, so it will asking to request access token, right? So if it is validated, so it will return back to access token. So sign in, once you sign in, now see it is invalid, right? So it is not returning back to the access token. So I think I just wrong password edit. So tick 123, let me check. Yeah, test 123, sign in. Now see, once you sign in back, so it will get that request token. So open in here, now see I'm getting that request token, right? So that how actually in here is working, get the request token. But here they store as a browser as of now, but I'm not storing as a browser, I'm storing in another Postman variable over here, right? But in this web application it will store once I using in upcoming session Blazor application or any other application, they will store their local. Okay, as like similar, I'm just storing in this my token over here, just use this token. So now I'm storing in here, right? And the token section, token name and token. And now next what I'm trying to do, it's here, they see simply they asking the request API request with the JWT. So now I'm just sending a request like this weather forecast request using this JWT, send this request. And once you send this request, it is go to our API, and it will just validate here. So which will validate your application, for example this section, right? So they will validate over here completely, like whatever token they will decode it, and also this, okay, just check it, okay, it is valid or not based on your audience and all, right? So if it is validate, so it will get that API data. So that how actually it is getting that API data. So now I'm getting that API data. So this way actually this complete section is working, right, for this API. And same things for that, once you're using that web application, that time also will work the same way. Okay, so I think this is pretty much good. So now we have to test it in our product API. Okay, so for product API again, we have to change my port name. So let me change my port name to this, and once you get this, so see, I'm getting 401 just because of I'm not using that latest token. So let me use this token to my this endpoints using that header section, and just pass it to my token, send back, I'm getting that result. Okay, so currently is a 2 data. So similar, I want to add a new product using that old token. So once you did, okay, so I think this is not correct. So oh my god, so let me change to this first actually. So this is my current port, change to this, and once you using that old token, it is get 401. But once I use the valid token, using a valid token, paste it, and yeah, send it, I'm getting that new data. This new data is got created. If I just check it over here, that main endpoint, yeah, this new data is got created. And same things we will do for other operation for update. So for update also, let me update this to this, right? But without changing that token, what happened, it is an authentication, that is perfectly fine. But while I'll use this token, valid token, it should be updated properly. So send it. Now it's updated, that we can ensure over here. Yes, I just ensure it is properly updated. And now the last things actually we trying to delete. So once you try to delete with this old one, but yeah, let me change to this first, or change this. And once you try to delete, yeah, an authentication. But once you take that valid token and just trying to use this, send. Okay, now it's got deleted, that we can make sure here, yeah, it's got deleted. So that means whatever your new endpoints, everything is looks good using this authentication. So that how actually you can authenticate, right? But in upcoming session, definitely we'll try to use create our web application. In this web application, we will integrate our authentication mechanism. So currently this web application is nothing, just all that API and all. See, API is blocked because API also is authenticated, so that's why it is unable to get that API data of that weather forecast. That's why it's got failed, but we will implement over here. So for that implementation, let's close that here and go to our solution. And for solution, go to that app host project. So first of all, what I need to do, as like similar for web API, we have to provide that reference of Keycloak. So simply I can just copy this, and here after that I can just refer that. Okay, so this is one which we have to just reference of this web application, so that whatever service we just running in our here, so we can utilize in our web application. Okay, so this is one. Now we have to moving to our web application project. So this is our web application project which is running in the Blazor. Yeah, so go to that program.cs file. So in this program.cs file, we actually required one package. So what about that package, which we have already integrated on our web application as well? So that for that actually we required that web authentication, expire authentication. So let me get that package name over here and go to here, right click on that, go to that manage NuGet package, and go to the browser section, look for this package Aspire Keycloak Authentication. So, and this is that package. Just install this package, apply that, accept. So once your package imported over here, go back to again that program.cs file, and after here before that actually here, so before here what I'll do, I'll just add that configuration. Okay, so for that add configuration we have to use this builder.service add authentication, and we have to pass that authentication, what kind of authentication we are trying to use for our application, right? So we will use this like open id default authentication scheme, right? And that we have to pass that authentication scheme. Okay, next we have to define our services, right? Our service as well as our realm name. So what is your services? So my services name is this. So my services name was Keycloak, which is coming from your Babost project. See, this is our services name. So we'll take that, sorry, let me undo that. Okay, so we'll take that service name over here as add Keycloak open connect. We pass that service name, and this is the real name. Where you can get that real name, I already closed that, but yeah, just we have just created a real name, right? So which you can see, yeah, here this is our real name. So in this real name which have client scope and everything, right? So we have to use that real name over here as a real name, and this is that scheme mechanism, and then we have to use the lambda expression for other configuration. So for other configuration we can simply use this. Okay, so other configuration simply I can use this option, and this option we have to define first actually which client you want to use. So I want to use that whether web client which already just created inside this import file. So if you see, scroll down that client section. So yeah, see, this is that client section and this is that client name whether web AI. So don't worry, I'll once I run, because just I close that this application, right? So once I open again, we run this application and go to that Keycloak site. So we are able to see that client name. Okay, so we have to mention that, we will show you. Okay, so the client name actually we have to mention whatever the client, you can just refer over here. Then we have to use response type. So response type I'll just use for as a open response type as a code, right? And then we have to use audience, actually audience, or we can just say the scope. So this is a important part actually. So this is actually very important, like you have to define that your what kind of audience or scope you want to define. So I want to define like, okay, whether all means that read, write and all, everything actually we want to use it, right? So that we have to use as a scope, and I'll just show you where I'm getting that scope. And now another configuration actually we have to use for this, like one is that token name claim, what kind of claim you want to use. So I want to use this JWT register client names, right? And also save tokens. Yeah, if you want to save your token, yeah, you can just keep it saved. And also sign in scheme with using this authentication, right? And for here, so we need to reference of this system identity model dot token JWT. So just use that and just use the, okay, the name. And yeah, so these are actually configuration we need it to generate your token, right? So yeah, I think this is sufficient, the setting. And one more setting actually we have to do that, which you can just refer if you trying to use local. So definitely you can try to this setting, because HTTPS is won't work as of now, because for that actually we required some certificate. So that is a little slightly a different implementation, not a different but yeah, slightly different. so we have to add certificate and all, but yeah, as of now we are using the local. So for that I don't actually, we have to set this false. Okay, and for further, if you handle like this, so we can just check it. Okay, is it a deployment environment, so you can just set as a false. If it is not deployment environment, so you can utilize as a production environment. Okay, so yeah, I think you both of the way, which one do you prefer, you can use it. And lastly, I can just close this, and yeah, so these are the configuration. And lastly, we have to use that mechanism, what kind of mechanism actually you want to use it, right? So we want to use the add cookies. Okay, so this is a cookies mechanism, so we can use that add cookies authentication scheme. That's it. Okay, so this is a setting, we have to add that add authentication. So once you're done, now you have to use this service, so we have to add this service authentication also. Now builder.service add cascading authentication state, so that we can maintain your authentication state, like what is current authentication, right? Like suppose currently it is log out, right? So and once you logged in, so what is the state, so that actually manage this one. Okay, so this is fine, right? And yeah, I think this how actually we can validate and generate a token, and we can keep it save it token. And once you're done, so once you complete configuration, so next part actually we have to implement our login and logout mechanism in our web application, right? So for that what I can do, I have to just create one extension which can handle that. So right click on that your web application project, go to add, create a class, and in here let me create a extension method. So use this name, like whatever name you want, but login logout endpoint route builder, so add that. And in here simply nothing I can do special, but yeah, I can use that as an internal, because I have to use this as an internal. Yeah, so internal, and also make it a static. Okay, and now I have to just create one static method over here. So let me, yeah, so see, I'm using this method, which also we are making as a static, and using this I endpoint builder, so that I can use this extension method in our program.cs file. And this is that actually endpoint, and in this endpoint, what is that endpoint? It is actually authentication endpoint, right? And in the authentication endpoint, we have to just use, okay, login endpoint, which is allow anonymous, and also the another one is the logout, which is logout, right? So if you see the login code over here, login method, so this is our login method, which simply just use this lambda expression, type result, and simply redirect to our root one. Okay, same things for logout over here, but in this logout, what we're trying to do, we additionally just add this schema. That's it, authentication and nothing. So this is the way actually you can just create a two endpoint, which is login and logout. And once you're done, now save it. Now go back to again your program.cs file, and in here if you scroll down in app section, so we have that default endpoint here, but we have to use that newly one. So what was the name? Yeah, this is my name, map logged in and logged out. That's it. Okay, so this is just a, you have to just create a middleware, right, for that login and logout, and you have to define it over here. So this is done. Okay, now we have to create your login and logged out screen. So for that let me just create that over here inside this component, and yeah, in the layout section, because I'll just create a login and logout screen, right? How does this look like? So just copy here as a component, I have already component, so I'm just simply use over here, and yeah, see, this is that component, you can just use it directly, but don't worry, I'll just explain it what we have. So login display over here, now see, this is that login display, which we have used that authentication authorized view, which is authorize. And in the authorized view, simply I just decorate it over here as a form, like, okay, this is the whatever once you logged in, once you logged in, so definitely it will get that data from context.user identity name, and if it is not, so definitely it will logged out, right? So same things actually that logged out, and it will appearing on the top. As you can see, once you logged in, so we will see that logged in name and all, and there is a logged out section, right? So that actually we have to show. And this is also, see, there's another section in not authorized. If it is authorized, so it will show. If it is not authorized, then it will show that logged in screen, right, on the top. Once you application run, on the top actually it will appearing. Don't worry, I'll show you. And yeah, so if first we have to use that logged in display, and then we have to use, and this component actually we have to use in our main layout. So where is our main layout? Here is my main layout, and instead of this and the about section on the top, what I'll do is simply replace to that component, so that whatever login mechanism and login component, it will show on the top. Okay, so yeah, now I can show you actually how look like. Okay, so simply I can run it. Okay, now it's trying to run. All the dependency they're trying to resolve. Okay, now my application got running. So once you click this, now see, this is that component actually we just built. So if it is until logged in, so it will show the login button. Once you logged in, so it will appearing in your name along with the display logout button, right? So that's how actually it will handle. And yeah, still we have to implement that product API to over here, as well as this authentication. So currently actually if I just without logged in, definitely I will get that same error. But let me try to logged in, and I will show you actually we have to get that one error. So once I try to logged in, so see, I'm getting this error. Why this error? Because of one configuration. So what is that configuration? So if you go to Keycloak section and just logged in over here with admin and just logged in. Yeah, so once you logged in, now go to your weather shop realm and go to that client, and see, this is our client actually, which we have used in here. So let me show you actually. So if you go to that program.cs file, see, this is that client actually we have referred over here. This is that client which we have to create for that particular web application, right? And if I talk about this scope, so where is that scope? So this scope, you can see inside this here, you can go to that client scope, and in this client scope you can see this is that actually audience. Actually this audience we have to use it, and this audience also you can see that scope. Go to that client scope, and in this client scope here, that scope actually, so that actually we have to refer over here, right? So this two is very important. And this realm name, this is the main realm name is weather shop, right? And yeah, and yeah, that is done actually. Yeah, so what is that issue? Like here it is not redirect, right? Why it's not redirect? Because of that configuration. So if you go to that client, so by default, if you go to this settings, if you scroll down, this is that setting. See, by default they provide some URL which is for the sign in. This is the sign in redirect URL. Also it is a logged out URL, right? And this is that normal web origin URL, right? But if you closely look out this port number, see, the port number is 7085. But what is our port number? So our port number is, see, 7035, right? So that means it is a different URL, right? So that you have to just change it 7035, so that that particular client, you can just give your exact URL which your application, right? So 7035 and 7035. Okay, so as of now we are using localhost, so that's why we have that URL. But once you deploy, definitely you have to give that your exact web application domain or URL over here. Okay, so yeah, that is done. Now save it. So once you save, Now go back to your application one more time. Let me open this one again, and once you click the login, now see I am getting that login screen of that Keycloak. And in here okay, let me see one more thing. Do we have any users? Yeah, we have one user, KKP. So yeah, let me close this, go to here. Okay, let me logged in with KKP. And what is my username, password? It is a test at the rate 123, and sign in. So once you sign in, now see it is perfectly working fine. Like if it is sign in your application, now it's get that properly store your cookies, all that authentication, all the tokens and all. And now we can use that token in utilize in our application. So if you go here, go to that application, and if you go to that local storage here, not this one actually, this cookies one. Yeah, see they store that all that cookies whatever actually we required, so just store as a cookies. And now we can get that we can utilize over here, right? So for that, let me close that. And now we have to integrate like how to get the token using from your cookies, and then how you can just authenticate your web API, right, for this application, right? So for that we have to do a little things over here. So for example, go again that program.cs file. In here, see currently we are using this weather API client, right? But this time they just passing that URL and all, but they have not passing any token. So what we have to implement over here, we have to implement like every time whenever time actually we have to try to uh, access or get the request for this client, we have to pass that token. So how we can add that token? So for that we have to create one authorized handler. So let me just create one authorized handler over here. Right click on that in this web application, create a class, use as a web authentication authorization handler. Okay, and in this authorization handler we have to just use this HTTP context accessor as a primary constructor. Okay, and we have to inherit delegates. So here I'll just use the delegate handler over here. Okay, so now this is good, right? So this is how actually we have to handle like every time request we will use, and we can just use the override, and we have to use this send async method. Okay, so in this send async method, so whenever time actually I'll just use this handler in any HTTP client, so every time it will come here and get that request, and we have to add whatever you want in our request. So we want to add our request, actually in this request we have to add our uh, header like as a token along with the header. So what I'll do, I'll just simply get that HTTP context over here, and if it is null, so definitely we'll throw the exception. If it is not, then what I'll do, we'll get that token from this current HTTP context. We'll get that method like get token and pass that access token. Okay, because we have just stored access token using this key. Okay, so we'll get that token over here. And also there is a one issue for async, so let me just use that async. Yeah, so async, and then what I'll do, I'll just check, okay, this token is available or not. Might be sometime we have not get that key and that token, so ensure that okay, the token is available. If it is available, so simply that particular request, whatever request, we have to add that authorization, and in authorization we have to set simply like wearer along with the token, access token. That's it. Okay, so once you're done, simply we can use over here, await, and that's it. Okay, so this actually you have to create a authorization handler, right? So that every time whatever your request, client request, it will just modify your token based on your local ability, right? right? And now this authentication handler we have to use in your client. So this is your client. So in this client, simply we have that extension method, and we can use this add http message handler. So let me use this dot add http message handler, and this add HTML handler you can just pass your class name. So which is your class name you just created? Yeah, this is my class name. Copy that, go back, just mention here, that's it. Okay, so that how actually you can just implement and authenticate every time, so you will get your token over here. So simply save it and try to run it. Okay, so one thing actually I forget. Yeah, so don't worry, I'll show you what is the issue. So yeah, actually whatever client actually we have just created, right? So I have not resolved the dependency, so that can be an issue. So yeah, it is running, so let me run it over here, and yeah, try to or just click on this logged in, and if I just mention our username and password, test 123, sign in. So once you sign in, now it is sign in, and if I just click that weather forecast, see, I'm getting this error because it is invalid and not registered, right? Because whatever actually authorized handler I just created, it is not registered. So that is expected because I miss one part over here. Yeah, so I need to register over here before use it. So let me just register using add context access handler. Yeah, so this is the way actually you can just simply register services dot add context access handler and add transient, and then you can just mention your authorization handler. That's it, right? And yeah, I think that pretty much good. And one more thing actually we want to add over here, like if your whatever component, so let me go to that particular component. So then where is my component? Yeah, here is my component. Go to that page section, go to that weather client over here. See, in over here nothing, right? It is fine, but the problem is if you are not authenticate your application, if you're trying to access this client, so you will get that error. So for avoiding that error, so that if it is not authenticate, so this component to redirect to, okay, you have to logged in first, then you have to use this component, because it is dependent that API which is required authentication, right? So for that you can just simply use this like authentication provider. Go to here, just inject authentication provider, and just bring back that namespace, and this authentication handler, authentication actually state provider will just manage, like, okay, either you have to call until once you get that user only, right? So this authentication provider actually get that authentication state, and it will get that state, and in this state we can get check that, okay, username is exist or not. If it is exist, only this time we have to allow this call. Okay, this is just simple way, but we have that another best way actually, that particular component we can authentication, like if it is authenticate, then only this component will become, or we can redirect. So that we can do in an upcoming session, but yeah, now we will do is just simple way, like simply we can get that auth state, and we can check like it is authenticate or not. If it is authenticate, then only we can call our web API. And also this component until should visible until actually the authenticate state is true. Okay, so for that we have that in inbuilt component, so we can use as a here like authorize view and then authorize, and we can decorate in the last, just close this authorize view and all, right? So simply I can decorate here, yeah, authorize, and then if it is not authorized, so simply it will just redirect to give that option, okay, just logged in, and that's it. Okay, save it, now run this application. Okay, now it's running, all that state is running, and if I just run this, yeah, logged in. And also if I just click this weather forecast, now see I am getting that part, like okay, without authentication this component, it should not be allowed to get the data. And also it is providing, okay, first you have to logged in. Okay, so if I just click logged in, so it will redirect over here, and let me ask, or let me provide my credentials and test 1 2 3 logged in. So once you logged in, now go to that weather forecast. Now see I'm able to get the data for that, get the token and get the data, right? So that I can show you actually how we're getting the token. So if I go to that particular handler here, I'll just show you that. Okay, so put the debugger point over here, go back to here, and once you click again, now see it is getting over here and you are able to see the token. And if I just copy this token, okay, I think it is not here, so let me just copy this token from, yeah, base 64 encoded. Yeah, this is our token JTX. Yeah, this is our token, and just simply continue. Okay, it is just timeout, actually that is fine. So let me connect again. Okay, I think there's some issue, but yeah, let me just remove that, continue. Okay, now I'm getting the data, and if I just use that token here, let me see, might be, yeah, this is a different token, actually this is not a right token. Okay, but yeah, that's how actually you can just use it, like get the token over here and you can use your endpoint, right? So yeah, for demonstration, actually I just showing, actually we will create another component, which product component, because in our API we have that product endpoint, right? So that we have to use it over here, so that in upcoming session we can use that, the role based authentication, that particular operation like insert, update, delete, right? So for that I'll just implement that. So let me just get that component, I already handy that component. So copy this and just paste it over here. And if I just open this product component, now see this is just simply as a product component. And here, okay, this is not right. Okay, so let me remove this, and also yeah, this need to create it. Okay, that's fine. So yeah, I think this is fine, but yeah, again same things like authentication provider and also protect this component. And this is that binding over here, that your product, whatever product, it will just try to bind over here. And this is also mechanism to add edit functionality, like you can product this add, edit, delete as well. Okay, and yeah, this is the way. And now we have to just complete this component using whatever that missing over here, like we have to just create our client, like this client, product API client. And also we have to create one model, the product model. So let me just create first our product model. So all that will create actually inside that client as well. So let me right click on this here. Okay, let me stop that first, and right click on here, let me go to this, go to class, and just create a product API client. Okay, which will actually handle all that API for that product API. Okay, and it will just simply, I will inject that HTTP client over here, so that I can get the call our API, right? And yeah, that's all. And then we'll just implement one by one. So before implement, actually I'll just create a product model, so that you can just create it separately, but I'll just use this. And then I can just create one by one. So first I'll just create get product async. So this will just see, I'm just calling this API endpoint and get the data and store it over here. Okay, and return back. Same things we'll use for get product by ID. And now another endpoint would be our update this product. So this is that product update, like accept this mod data ID, and we can update it also. And the last one, not last one actually, we have to create also, we have to create a new product. So this is the way actually we can create a method. We can create a new product simply as that post request, passing that request, that's it. And the lastly actually we have to delete as well that product, so let me just create that. Okay, so this is the way actually you can just create your client, like whatever client. So I'm just using the product client and I just expose all that endpoint, and this one actually we have to utilize in our component. So go back to your component, and here yeah, so already is there, so that's it. I think that is pretty much good for this component. Nothing error out. Okay, cool. Now so yeah, I think it is pretty much good. And one thing I used to add over here, this component we have to add an navigation. So go to that layout one, navigation layout, and in this navigation layout I have to just add that endpoint or just component. So this navigation one, and I can just remove that counter one and simply use this. Okay, this is a product list and this is a product, that's it. Okay, let me yeah, one more thing actually we have to do that. So whatever client I just created, right, so that we have to use similar kind of better for client, right? So we have to add all that request of the product client, we have to add that header, right, with the bearer token. So for that you have to go to the program.cs file, right, and same things you can just copy this and paste it over here, and only just change you need to do over here, just better to your product, that's it. Okay, so now we are good. Like all that product API client request, it will going to this way, and it will go to this authorize handler, and it will store that token and then get that request. Okay, and yeah, let me run it. Okay, now all this web app and app service, all this is running, and open it here. And if I go to that product list, now see I'm seeing that login screen, means try to log in first, and also it is a weather forecast, right? So what I'll do, simply I can just logged in over here, and once you click the logged in, it will asking. So yeah, one more thing actually I want to show you. See, if do you have existing users, so you can use it, and if you want to create a new user also, it is available to register. So let me just register a new user, see what happened. So for that username I will use the username over here, like Karthik. Okay, and password would be the same, test@123. Confirm password also would be same, test@123. Email would be as a whatever email, actually I can just use it. And Karthik, not a first name Karthik, it will use .net real world example. And here, yeah, what could be our name, last name, or like if I miss that, yeah, I okay, but it is a validate, actually it is required. So yeah, might be YouTuber, yeah, YouTuber registered. So see, once you register, also by default it's logged in, because it just create a user and logged in. And also you can get the data, means your username, like this is a first name and this is my last name, .net real world example along with their YouTuber. And if I click that product list, now I'm able to see the data, like because which is getting authentication and then get the data. And if I try to add a new product, like for example ice cream, actually ice cream, okay, price would be 500, description is lovely ice cream. Okay, add product. So once you add product, now see it is appearing over here. And if I want to add it, so I can just add it to 500 to 200. And love ice cream update, I'd save it. Now see, it is properly update. And if I want to delete, so I can delete, I guess. So see, there is a pop-up button over here, and okay, so now it's gone. So everything is handled like, I insert, update, delete everything using that authentication. So see, these are the normal, normal user, so which can have anything, right? So this need to implement, like if any specific user, so that should be have a specific role, so that they can do only those responsibility. Like suppose for example this user, right? So this user should not have all that permission. This user should have only this view permission, so only they can view the product list, but they are not able to add and update and delete. So if I trying to add something, like for example here, so I can easily add it, right? So authentication, if you authentication, that is fine, but should be implement authorization as well, the particular user. So yeah, that's see, that actually we have to implement. So yeah, so let me just close everything and open your application. Go back to your application here, and first of all, what I need to do, actually I need to now before configurations over here, actually I need to configure two roles in our Keycloak, right? So for that, so let me run it one more time. Yeah, so once your Keycloak hosting is ready, it is a running state, so let me open it, because we have to add our roles over here. And so for add your roles, actually we require that administrator role permission in Keycloak. So previously I think I just create for admin and admin, whatever, actually you can just use it. So once you go here, go to the manage, go to your realm. So this is my realm for this application, and in here there is a client and all everything, right? So first I'll just create a realm roles. So for here, there we have the default roles over here, but yeah, we have to create for a specific role which we have to use it. So for that, just simply create role and just specify your roles. So first I'll just create one role for administrator, right? And description you can just add anything, so I'll just keep it null. And second one also I'll just create another role. So create another role, and name could be something normal user or visitor and all, right? So I'll just make it a visitor and save it. So once you're done, now if you go to here, now see, this two role is available, right? So first you have just create this two role, okay? And once you create this role, you have to assign that particular role this particular user, right? So suppose I have one user, go to that user section, and this is that one user which I want to make it a administrator. So I want to assign that user that role in this particular user, right? So for example, if I go to this user and this role mapping, go to that role mapping, and in this role mapping, assign role, just realm role, okay? And in this realm role, whatever role you have to assign, so you can just assign. So for example, if you want to add multiple role, you can multiple role, but yeah, this time I will use that administrator, and simply I can just assign, okay? So now this user has this administrator or role, right? So that is done, okay? So once you provide the administrator role, so this KKP user has that administrator role, correct? Okay, so yeah, I think that is good for this assignation part. Second things actually you can do, like suppose you have to create, a new user, right? So that new user should be assigned by default role, okay? It's a default role. So for that, what you can do, simply you can go to that realm settings here, go to the realm settings, and in this realm setting you have to go to that login, and in this login you have to just set this configuration user registration set, so that once you use your application, always it will provide that user registration form where you can registration the user, okay? So this is first setting. Second, you have to go to here and click on that user registration. So once you go to that user registration, here you have to just assign go to the role, realm roles, and in the realm roles you can just set the visitor, so that whenever you just try to create any roles, any user registration, so it will assign this default visitor role. So simply you can just assign that, and that pretty much good for here. Okay, so now we want to test, like if I want to use in our application, if I just create new user, so that new user should be registered with this visitor role. Okay, so that we want to test. So go back to your application over here and go to your this application, like open your Blazor web application, and simply what I'll do, I'll just simply click the logged in button, and this logged in button, see there's an option to new registration. So let me try to register new user, and in here for example kkp visitor. Okay, so make it this name kkp visitor, and whatever your password you want, so I'll just make it a default password, and confirm password also make it same, and email also just make it a same kkp visitor @gmail.com, and first name is visitor, and last name is kkp. Okay, and simply you can just register. So once you registered, so actually now I don't, I need to get that key, right? So token. So based on the token I will show you what exactly assign that role. So either two way, actually you can just inspect and get the token on this network, or not the network, actually in this application center. So instead of that I'll just create a component which can show me a token. Okay, so for that I can just simply use this token component which I already just created. So in here in this paste section I can simply paste my token component. So see, this is the token component, which nothing special, just using this ISTTP context accessor, and based on this actually I can get the retrieve the token. Okay, so once your authentication, your component is authentication, then it will retrieve your token. That's it actually, and that also I can just use in our nav menu, right? So that I can get that from that nav menu. So go to your nav menu and just use this token component as a navigation. Yeah, that's it, and just refresh this and go back to your browser. See, I am able to see the access token. Once you click that, okay, might be required this restart properly, because I just using. So yeah, let me try to close this and just save it and run it again. Okay, once you're done, let me open a web application, and if I just logged in with that new user which we have just created, so kkp visitor, and just remove this, and my default password is test at the red 123, and sign in. So once you sign in, go to the access token. Now see, I'm able to see that access token without inspect and all. So that is easy actually to see. So this is my access token, and then just to copy and go to the JWTO. I want to show you actually one thing. So open a JWTO, and simply your token you can just paste it over here. So I think it should be take some time to load, so let's wait. Okay, so once you load properly your JWT site, just paste it over here, and once you paste it, now see, it is just decoded actually your token. So once you scroll down, and you can able to see over here this role access. See, so currently whatever role you are just providing, right, so all that role is available over here. So as I just assign any new user actually, which should be assigned by default a visitor, right? So that is available over here because we have just created a new user, right? So that's why it's a visitor. And also if you logged in with this administrator role user, so you will able to see the administrator, right? So there's a one problem actually. See, the actually they by default creating using this role accessor and inside these roles. Okay, so that is actually not correct for your web application, because that web application mechanism required not inside object. Okay, so they have to record in this role in this root label, right? So that you have to change it. So how we can change it to this way, like if in the root label array, right? So for that, again, you have to go to here in this keylog website. So open it again and just logged in with this your administrator user, log it in, and once you logged in, go to your this one on here, go to manage and use your current one, and once you go to that current one, go to your client scope. Okay, so in this client scope, is scroll down, you're able to see this is that role section, right? So go to that inside the role section, and in this role section you can go to that mapper, and in this mapper there is a realm roles, right? So click on the realms roles and you can see the token name. See, this is a token name, so which currently we have that we just providing other root object and then specific these things, right? So that we have to change it to simply other roles, because our authentication, our web application or Blazor application actually expect only roles in the root label, role only, not a roles. Okay, so that makes sure you have to use this token name as a roles first things, and other things also. Actually, you just simply a few configuration you have to set if it is does not have. So first of all, token claim name, you just change it. Second, add id access token, right? So this is that add to id token, which you have to allow, means it should be on, and also add to access token, which should be on. These two things you should to on, right? And yeah, one more thing, actually you have to just set, okay, yeah, add to token inspection, and also you should allow add to user info. I think this four setting you should to on it. Okay, so yeah, I think that pretty much good what this role mapping setting. And once you're done, just save it. Okay, so once you save it, now if you go back your application and if you just sign out, and I just sign in again with this kkp visitor and pass your credentials. So my credentials would be this, and logged in. So once you logged in, go to that access token and just simply you can just copy from here, make sure is correct root mapping, actually role mapping is here, so that I want to just simply replace your jwt over here. And if you scroll down, see, now finally we made the change, right? Role mapping in the token correctly. So this should be as expected your web application. So role, and inside this role actually, right? So that once you made these changes, so now you have to made your web application, right? So go back to your web application, so go to here and go to your web application project and go to that program.cs file, and this program.cs file, if you scroll down, previously we just configured over here for that authentication, but we have to map it authorization as well. So inside this, see, previously we use this registration claim name as a name, and then also we have that property inside here like option dot row token parameters, and in here we have that property is role claims type. Okay, so what kind of type actually you have to just use? So see, over here as a string, you can just pass it as a string. So yeah, sometime if you passing over here, see, so sometime is working actually. I face, which I just faced, which I want to show you my experience. So using this actually sometime is working, sometime is not working. Okay, so for this better solution, actually we can use, instead of this we have that claim type, claim type we can use this claim type system.security.claim type dot roles. Okay, so this is actually expected this schema Microsoft identity claim roles. So that actually perfectly working fine for me. So but yeah, so just try with this roles. If it is working, that is fine. If it is not, so yeah, I just recommend to use this claim dot roles. Okay, so this is one thing actually you can just simple way, actually this is the simple way, just one line changes for role authentication. So whatever role in your token, they will actually that validate using this claim role type. Okay, and other things also actually you can just modify in here, like if it is also, if it is not working this way, so that another is that is actually optional. So you can use this line of code. Let me uncomment this. Okay, so this is another way actually, this role configuration, which you can just create a event, and this event especially you have to assign this whatever roles, find these roles using this roles, and this is assign in the roles. Okay, so this is another way actually you can just utilize, but yeah, that is optional. So I'll just mark its commented code over here, so that once I push these changes you can able to see, and also if required you can utilize this. Okay, so that's it actually for this role mechanism. So you can just configure and all, the configuration part is done. Now we have to restrict our component to specific rules, right? So for that you can go to that particular component, suppose for example product component. Okay, so this product component, what kind of role you want to assign. So I want to assign as of now, see, only authorized person, authorized authentication. I'm able to see this complete complete things, right? But what I'll do, I can just assign, if we required, I can assign that specific roles on this component. So yeah, I think I'll just keep this product as a this way only, but go to that better forecast, like better component. Here we will restrict directly using this attribute. So how we can do that? So let me give that one, like for example there's an attribute, so which can restrict it our component this way. So here see, I'm just using authorization and just bring that namespace, and I just restricted this component, like whatever component, only administrator role can access this component, right? So like this way actually you can just set it, or if you don't use this way, so this is also fine. But if you want, so I think you can just specify here also as a role. So particular way actually you can just use as a role, so that particular section you can just define, okay, this particular section actually which role you have to allow, right? So this is one way, this is another way, actually whatever way, it is a Blazor concept. So if you new for this Blazor concept, so I especially recommend go to my channel, you will get that complete session of authentication authorization in Blazor, so that you can. But yeah, as of now I'll just keep it this. Okay, and additionally nothing to do over here, but yeah, additionally also you can just add more check over here, like for example previously we just check, okay, only authentication user access this API. But if you want, you can just additionally add more check, like for example this, like is the whatever user has this is role, if it is have this administrator role, so only that time they can able. So this is just additional check. Okay, so once you're done, I think it is pretty much good. And yeah, also you can taken care anything, like if you get any exception and all, so you can just taken care over here. So yeah, that we will do later. But yeah, I think for uh, demonstration perspective, I'll just check it, okay, if it is working or not first. And yeah, and one more thing actually I want to over here. Okay, I just protected this and product API. So in this product API, what I sorry, product component, uh I think it's fine, sufficient. But yeah, if we can do something better, for this restriction part. Yeah, I think pretty much good over here. So let me try and see what happened. And same things actually, you don't need to do anything in the API part. Okay, the API part will expect that if you have that valid token, right, so that will work in the same, no configuration change, but only you can just restrict your API. Like for example, we have that API of product endpoint API, right? So if this product endpoint API, previously we just authenticate only required authorization a user can allow, right? But if you want to restrict okay particular role, so there is an attribute actually. So using that attribute you can just set okay this particular things, like for example for get, not get, actually for this user, this endpoint, right? Like create a new, so that I can just restrict okay authorization attribute should be only administrator. So only administrator role can add a new product, same things for update, same things for delete. Okay, so like this way actually you can restrict. And yeah, I think this pretty much good, and no configuration change, this API label that will work as expected on as the same. And now okay, let me just stop that and run it again, so that whatever configuration and all we just did, so make sure that is properly running from the cache. So once your application run, let me try to test. Okay, so yeah, I think currently we don't have logged in, so first we have to logged in. If you're not logged in, so definitely it will just, you know, once you click, so it will redirect, because we have to provide this access. So yeah, go back and just simply logged in, and first I'll just logged in with this visitor user, which should not have that access for this add and delete. Okay, so let me just logged in with this logged in. Yeah, I'm able to logged in. If you see the token, I can token, and once you click the product list, so I'm able to set product list. But once you try to add a new item, for example this ice cream, and just add 20 and this ice cream, that is fine. And once you add this product, so once you click that, okay, so once you click, see, nothing happened, right? Why it's nothing happened, I can just show you over here. If I can see, okay, nothing also is recorded over here. Why? That I'll show you. Go to that setting, go to our web application, and here where is my component, product component, and go to that add click button. So where is my add click? Yeah, this is save button, right? So if you see the save button, and just put on the debugger point over here. Okay, and yeah, I think that pretty much good. So go back to application, simply you can just add. So see, my breakpoint is there, and if you just debug over here, see, this is going to else part, and here actually the call your endpoint, right? So where is your endpoint? Your endpoint is here, like your endpoint class, and should be call this create endpoint. So put the debugger point here. Once you continue, your debugging is here, and once you click this and just enter, now see what happened. You are getting this 403 because you are not allowed to do based on your roles, right? The current role is does not match, right? So that's why you are not able to do, and it is returning simply 403. And the current implementation actually it just simply returning null. That's why nothing is happen. It's just keep it this same way, right? So that actually whatever that user experience, so you can just simply throw that your exception over here, and then you can just show it your user. So that is a one way, whatever way actually you can try to do that. But yeah, let me add actually few exception over here, handle exception, so that the user can see that message and all, right? So yeah, let me, okay, so instead of wasting time, right, so I just simply see, I just, you know, just put on try catch. So any issue and all, so simply just throw the exception, so that user can take this exception message and all and show it over here. Just simply try catch. So all that method, I just using try catch a block and get that exception. This is one things you have to do that to get that exception message to show that user experience. And second things, go to this product list. Okay, and here also currently if you get that any error and all, right, so you can just show it or binding your component, right. So for that also you can just simply just decorate such a way, right. So it can just simply whatever message you want to show it over here, right. So I'll just simply go back to your product here and I can just replace this. That's it. Okay, and nothing is special, like just simply close this. Over here you can see I just create a new error message over there, and that message actually once you any error, I just using try catch block, and that message I just simply print it over here. That's it. Okay, same things for all that other uh, other call as well. So this way actually we can easily capture this message and show it to the user. And same things I can do for our weather forecast. So in weather forecast, sorry, weather client, is there anything? See, yeah, I think we don't need to anything, but yeah, simply I can just decorate over here such a way so that we can easily capture over here. Yeah, so see, I'm just simply changing over here slightly over here, like for example capture the error message, and if any error message is occurring over here, so storing over here. So this is the way actually handle that message to user perspective, and that is done. Okay, yeah, and one more thing actually I want to show you. Okay, yeah, that I will to show you once you run it. So simply I can just refresh it and see if it is reflected or not. So if it is not reflected, definitely we will restart this application. So yeah, let me try to go back and again just try to another one. For example, ice cream and 30 and ice cream. So once you add product, now see, I'm getting that clearly exception. Okay, what is that issue and all. So I'm just get that, okay, you are not allowed to do that. So that you can just change it your message to user perspective, but you are not able to do anything over here, right. So see, message is over there. If I try to edit, and also if I just try to edit, you are not able to do that. So that means only administrator user can allow to do that, so that we will check. And same things we can try with this weather component. So click on that weather component. Now see, one issue over here, like it is clearly says access day night, but that user perspective, this is not correct, right. Means like user not able to see, okay, why it's access day night and there is a no clear message and all, right. So for that, what you need to do in this way, because by default actually once you are not able to access, so it will redirect to this page. So the solution is over here, you can just create this component so that once you redirect this page, so user can see clear message. Actually you are not able to do that, right. So let me just create that component also in this here. So I have already that component, so let me copy this and just paste it over here. Just a simple component actually. So just create a access day night component and decorate route for this account access day night, and just decorate actually what message you want to show it over here. That's it. Okay, and also this navigation to go back to here and just refresh this, go back to your application, and yeah, go back to here, and once you click again this weather forecast. Okay, so I think this time we need to refresh. So yeah, let me just close this and run it. Okay, so my application got running. Click on and just simply logged in first, right. So yeah, before logged in, if you just click, so it will just asking to log in. So first let me try to log in with the visitor user. So kkp visited, and that credential, and sign in. Okay, so once you sign in, so if I just click this, so I am able to see, but not able to do that because it is a visitor user. But once you click the weather forecast, now see, I'm just clearly see that message. That means you are not access to this page, right? Because this page only access for administrators. So for that, what I'll do, I'll just simply logged out, right, and simply logged in with this admin user. So for admin user, I think we set this user to as admin, and password would be the same, and sign in. And if I see this token, let me verify this token has this admin user or not. So copy this and go back to here, your JWT site, and just replace this. If you scroll down, yeah, so see, this administrator role is available for this user. And now if I go to that product list, so let me try to add a new item for this user, because this user has administrator. So let me try to this and add. So once you add, now see, new item got created because it is allowed just because of administrator. And if I want to edit, I can edit also with this new item, save. Yeah, so new item got updated. Even if I want to delete something, so I am able to delete as well. So that means this role based access mechanism is working fine. Same thing, we will test this component because this component also allow only administrator user. So once you click the weather forecast, now see, I am able to see that particular component along with the data, right? So this is how actually you can just you know, implement your role-based authentication with Keycloak and easily to protect your application role-based. And also I'll show you like how actually working in your API. So if you just see, there's a couple of API as well which we just protected. So if I just Swagger, I don't know if Swagger is available or not. So yeah, it's Swagger available, and see, there's a endpoint. So this post and put and delete, right? So they have that administrator user. So for checking perspective, what I'll do for testing and checking, so just let me logged out and log in with this visitor user so that we can test it. Okay, visitor user have can do directly on the API side or not. So KKP visitor, and this visitor I can just simply visitor test 123 logged in. So I'll take that token because I just logged in for the token, copy this token and open as a Postman. Okay, and this is that API which is just running over here, but we have to make sure what is the endpoint. So endpoint is 7403, so that you need to change in here 7403. So 7403, and yeah, this authentication, go to that authentication, change your token, right? So okay, first, without whatever this old token or does not send the token, what will happen? Okay, so that after that we will provide our token. Okay, so for that actually I just go to that body, and this body, okay, this is get call actually, so I have to go to that post call. Yeah, this is post call. And if I go to the body, yeah, I want to add this new item, but I want to change this port 7403. This is 7403. Oh my god, so this is not correct. 7403. And if I'm not changing that token and all, whatever that existing token, right? So in this case, what will happen? So that I want to show you. So if I just simply send, okay, it is not connecting just because of, see, I just using 7403, but also you can, if you observe, I'm using HTTP, but that application actually running is two port, right? One is HTTP and another one HTTPS. So if you go back here, See, HTTP as using 4043, but for HTTP it is using 5318, right? So yeah, just go back to your Postman. Actually, that 5318, I think this is that correct. 5318, yeah, so this is that correct. And what I'll do, I can simply test it this now. Okay, so once you test it, now see, if you invalid token and all, or if you don't have as a valid token, so it will tell you okay, it is unauthorized. Okay, because you are passing wrong token, or if you don't pass any token, so definitely you will get that 401. And if you have that token, valid token, but does not have that role authentication, means proper role, so in this case what happens? So let me just pass that, visitor token, visitor user token, and if I just send it over here, see, authentication now is allowed to authentication, but authorization is failed, so that's why it's providing 403 with a forbidden, right? And once you pass that valid token with the valid user, so that time it will get success. So how we can check it, how can verify it? So go back to your application, just logged out, and if I just logged in with this particular user, which is that administrator user, so kkp and test at the rate 123, sign in and go to the token section, copy the token, go back to your here, go to authorization section and paste it over here, and you can simply send. So once you send it, now see, new record got created, and same things you can check your here as well, get call. So yeah, I think 5318, so let me just change 5318, and this is also won't allow to you because you are not passing the token. So let me pass that valid token and send back, and you are able to see that new user is available over here. And that same user also you can check in your application as well. So if you go here, product list, and you can just simply, okay, this is, yeah, this is that new user, a new t-shirt, right, which we just created over here. So yeah, I think this is t-shirt only, yeah, t-shirt only. So yeah, I think that is the way actually you can just protect your web application using the role-based authorization. And yeah, that pretty much good. And yeah, one more thing actually I want to add in this here, so that it looks pretty good, like that home component, right? So if you go back and just go to here, get to your as a document perspective actually, to understand like how it is working, and also simply I can just use this component. It's just nothing, just decorate like whatever the component we have and whatever the specific role we are trying to allow here, so that we have just decorate. And if I just restart and go back to here, see, this is a looks good, right, for the demonstration perspective. So yeah, I think that pretty much good for role-based authentication, so which can that protect your application API and all, everything. It's a very minimal change and all. So yeah, that's all for this session. Thank you, have a nice day, and don't forget to like, subscribe and share.